Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Savage. It's myself, George, bringing you a brand new movie review. And today it is a review on the upcoming musical biopic, Weird, the Al Yankovic Story, of course, about Weird Al Yankovic, an absolute legend of, I guess you could say, music and comedy. So this is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be released this Friday, the 4th of November on Roku for everybody to stream. I'll get that way now. And as I said, I've been very fortunate to have seen this film early this weekend. And also very last minute, as you might be able to tell, there was a screening plan. Unfortunately, I'm unable to make it, so we've been able to get an online copy, which is amazing. So thank you to the team for that. But yes, let's talk some Weird Al Yankovic. But before we really get into it, I want to hear from everybody in the comments. Please do comment below your thoughts. Maybe if you've seen this film, maybe if you haven't, looking forward to it, please comment them along at the bottom. We'll reply to them. And as well, maybe you're a fan of Weird Al Yankovic, comment some of the songs you enjoy of his, or maybe how you discovered him. It's going to be really interesting hearing from I think British people against American people, because I think certainly over here he isn't as big a name. Which I think is really interesting when I'm about to get into some of it shortly. And if you've enjoyed this video, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button. There's a lot of new reviews coming on the way. Won't go into specifics of those reviews, but there's a fair few coming, so please do get involved if you do like that. And if you want to find out about those videos, you best off find us on our social medias. That's Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. We've got a link to Letterboxd as well, alongside a link to Redbubble, where you can pick up some of our merch if you do want to help support the channel, because it is always appreciated by those that do help us. But anyway, going back to the review, it's a really interesting one to talk about this. So I'm going to actually kickstart my thoughts on Weird Al Yankovic, because I sort of mentioned that American-British divide. Now, I didn't, obviously I'm a bit younger, but I wasn't aware of him till I'd say when I started secondary school. And I think this is the time when YouTube was starting to get bigger, not like it is today. I'm talking like 2007, 8 time. And I remember seeing all these parody songs, and obviously Eat It was probably one of the more famous ones. The Star Wars one, of course. And I didn't know who this Weird Al Yankovic guy was, but I always found it very funny that, someone would just do it. And back then, I'm probably 11, 12 at that age. I just thought that was just a random guy doing it on YouTube. I didn't know it was, somebody with a very successful past, that they were older songs as well, where you could argue that they hadn't just been made in 2007 and 8. They'd been around for a while. And obviously, the boom of the internet is great for people discovering, I guess you could say, new music, comedy, whatever you want. The internet can be a good place at times. And the Weird Al Yankovic stuff is really fun. So, I can't sit here and say I can list his albums, I can list his tours, his songs. I've seen him, I haven't. I mainly know of him again through when I was younger on YouTube, and over the years, his reputation, and obviously Star Wars being a massive one for me. On the old Blu-ray box set, George Lucas had the Saga Begins song on there, which I think is a great song. They play at the start of Celebration a fair few times. They also I picked this shirt because there was a dress code to dress weird in Hawaiian shirt, so I thought, why not? I'll do it in the review too. But aside from that, if I'm going to merge that into my thoughts on the film, because when they announced this film, I was a bit not nervous, but it was like a Weird Al Yankovic film. And I was like, okay, another musical biopic, great. I didn't have the knowledge that there was a parody about 12 years ago. On I think it was Funny or Die. I think they helped make this as well. Very Ted Lasso-esque. An internet sketch from 10 years ago has been, revisited many years since. And certainly for this, it was only when the trailer came out and I realized, I'll get into Daniel Radcliffe shortly as well, but I was like, okay, this is a parody. This is perfect, because I think if Weird Al Yankovic had done his own biopic as Bohemian Rhapsody or as Rocket Man or something, where it's okay, Rocket Man is different to the others, but we're in this trend now of these musical biopics, and I don't want to say it's tiring, but we know a lot of them are just being greenlit because there's, they're just all happening. Every musician's going to get one at some point. But the Weird Al one's great because it absolutely delivers, just on the pure basis of it being a parody of itself. That you might have some people that go watch this thinking it could be real. It'll take them maybe 5 minutes to realize, okay, this is Weird Al doing a film about Weird Al. And obviously he hasn't directed this, and he does have a role in it. It's directed by Eric Apple. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. And obviously Daniel Radcliffe is playing Weird Al Yankovic. But that's the gist for me of this, is that if you're not on board within the first 5-10 minutes, you're going to struggle with this film. And again, I think for me at least, I enjoy comedy. I like people taking the mick, those sort of parody-esque things. And with someone like Weird Al Yankovic, who's built a career off doing that and doing it very well, not just for the sake of it, but is very well written, a lot of the things, I absolutely love the concept for this, and this going so extreme that you have the likes of Pablo Escobar in it, you've got Madonna in it, you've got loads of things, loads of celebrities being parodied as well, and it's amazing that they stayed consistent throughout the entire film. That the writing, I think, stays consistent, and ultimately, I think I view it as a comedy more so than a drama. Now, it could be a blend of both, or someone might be looking for a biopic, but it's going back to what I mentioned that divide. That if you're not on board at the start, I think you're going to struggle because it does get more insane as it goes on. And at the same time, for me at least, it's so refreshing to have a film where they're not afraid to point the finger and take the piss. That typical waking up in hospital esque things, the opening scene. Let's tell the story. It's a dead formula that's been going on for so long, and I'm just so glad some musicians had the balls to do something interesting with it. I'll give massive credit to Rocket Man. I shouldn't have put that in the same sense as Bohemian Rhapsody, but at least that was a legitimate like fantasy music film, not done in chronological order, not done A to B to C, not playing greatest hits. People actually had to have talent and to sing to be in that. And kind of moving into this, talking about some of the characters, I want to talk about Daniel Radcliffe as well, because obviously we know him as Harry Potter. It's impossible not to bring up around him. And I saw an interview with him this week where he tried to compare his career to Harrison Ford, in which the projects he's taking after doing such a big franchise is that he wants to be maybe seen more as an actor. And I think it's quite noble of him, because to me, Daniel Radcliffe's still very young. That yes, he's Harry Potter, they were kids, and he has been in the limelight, I guess you could say, for 20 years plus. But you've got to think that what that impact that has on young actors trying to do roles where they'll always be known as Harry or Ron or Hermione. In Star Wars case, it was always Luke, Leia, Han, and Harrison Ford, I think, definitely moved past that as the years went by. It definitely helps, obviously, doing stuff like Indiana Jones. But Daniel Radcliffe has took a very interesting career path since Harry Potter, and I think it's absolutely fair to say I think he's had the best career of the actors that have followed. He might not have been in a $1.2 billion grossing Beauty and the Beast adaptation, but the projects he picks, he's done a lot of stage work, he's done theatre. I think he's really going out there as an actor to really test himself. And I think as the years go by, we're able to look back at some of those roles that he's done outside of Harry Potter, and actually they're pretty great, and they're so different to Harry Potter. It makes him so much more not appealing as an actor, because that sounds really unfair, but what it does, it really demonstrates his ability to act and to place himself out of his comfort zone, doing these more obscure roles. And I think there's something about him and Weird Al that just works. That, not saying Daniel Radcliffe needed a film like this, but for Daniel Radcliffe to be cast in a film like this, I believe it helped get the funding from Roku as well, which is massive. But I think this is a great role for Daniel Radcliffe to, again, for people, if they haven't been familiar with him, they might have seen some of his indie films over the years, although I deem this as an indie film of sorts. I think this is going to be really good for him. And I hope this film is something a lot more people see, and maybe they go to some of his other work across the years. Because I think he's a great actor, and he's really sort of proven it over the last decade or so post Harry Potter. And God, that's scary, decade post Harry Potter already. But for me, the film makes or breaks with him. The script, I think, is great. Again, it's a story about Weird Al. We want to see where his ideas come from. And this is the beauty of this being so far-fetched. You don't know if the idea came of it, or maybe it did. There's a great scene for My Bologna, which I think is perfectly done. One of my favorite scenes of the film. And I'd be so curious to know the real life story of that, if that did happen in that line, because it feels like it did that. It's like lightning strikes this character, and that's where the words come from. And as I said, it delves so far into that parody-esque stuff that you just can't take it seriously in a really fun way. And I think that's also where Daniel Radcliffe excels in this role, is that as the film heads towards its final act and the stakes up in a ridiculously entertaining way, he's still selling it so well, about keeping it serious whilst it's clearly not serious. And I just think he's doing a phenomenal job, and full credit for him. I think if the casting of Weird Al doesn't work in this, the film can't function. And I think they definitely made the right decision. I'm going to quickly talk about a couple of the support actors. We've got Evan and Rachel Wood playing Madonna, which is hilarious. I mean, I've not got much to say on Madonna if I'm being obvious, but I love the fact that, again, this is a completely fictional relationship and they just roll with it. It's amazing. It's that Weird Al side of things. I think Evan Rachel Wood's great. I don't know too much about young Madonna. For all intents and purposes, it's not her trying to do an impersonation of Madonna when she's younger. I know there is a Madonna biopic in the work as well, which really sums it up at the moment. But I think she's got great chemistry with Daniel Radcliffe, and it's that very comedic, not SNL style, but you are delving more into that American comedy when the Madonna stuff comes in. And obviously, you bring in Rainn Wilson. Obviously, you'll all know him playing Dwight in The Office and a few other things. He plays Dr. Demento, who's integral to Daniel Radcliffe and Weird Al in this film. So the cast, I think, are great. There's a lot of cameos. And you know what? I was thinking this, I don't mind. I'm not going to give some of them away. I don't know who's meant to be a cameo and who isn't. So I'm just not going to say anything. Because you might really enjoy some of these that just come up completely blind when you get the chance to see the film. But it's just one of those for me where everything's just clicking in. I feel that a lot of people involved in this film are in on the Weird Al stuff, that they want to do it justice. And I hope that maybe they're also tired of these ridiculous biopic, musician, let's do the top 3 songs ABC, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's quite hard. It's quite hard to talk about past that because it's not out yet. There's not necessarily spoilers to give, but I want to hold off from giving some of the really fun stuff away. That if you do watch this, and you won't have the faintest idea what journey the characters are going to go on. It is truly worth watching. And heading into my sort of final thoughts with that, definitely give this film a go when it's out on Friday. I know it's streaming on Roku, so you'll be able to get it on there. What I suggest is just keep away from what people are saying. Granted, I'm doing a review on it, but the less you know, the better this film is. And I would love to know if anybody goes in thinking this was going to be more of a drama-esque finding out about him, because it's not. The only one thing I'll add is maybe criticism of the film, which I haven't really spoke about, is we don't get not too much of any younger, because it's not the purpose of the film, but the actor playing the young version of him, who is perfect as a young Daniel Radcliffe, I'm going to say as well. He's called David Bloom. He's great in this. We didn't need more time with him, but I feel like the jump from teenage owl to owl that success is very quick. However, that's part of the comedy. So that might just be something that me's reflecting on from a first viewing literally an hour ago. So yeah, it's a tricky one to talk about. But I really hope you get to appreciate this film, because I certainly have. And I don't think we'll get a comedy like this. And as I said, it will borderline on how can you handle American humor versus, maybe not American humor. And do you like Weird Al Yankovic, essentially? Because if you don't like his stuff and his attitude and his character and what he is as a persona, you're probably not going to like the film. But if you do, definitely go see this film. So that's as much as I can sort of politely say. And also, I will say this as well. It's just nice to see a parody that's actually got a bit of integrity, that it isn't a Meet the Spartans or something like that, where it's just so sketch orientated it gets embarrassing. This is genuinely very funny. And I was amazed to find out this was shot in 18 days. Don't know how that happened, but they did a phenomenal job to everybody involved in that, and getting this out literally in November. As I know it premiered at Toronto. I know that it was shown at New York Comic Con recently as well. And like I said, I just hope you will get the chance to see it as well. So that's going to do it for my review of Weird Al Yankovic Story. As I said, comment your thoughts below. I'm curious to hear them. I'm curious to see what you think of it. And when you have done the chance to let us know, and I will reply to those. And if you've enjoyed this review, enjoyed this video, please do consider hitting that like button. It does help, alongside subscribing to us, to help us clear some more of our goals that we've been working towards. There's a lot of things happening on the channel. The best way I can pipe them up is by saying get us on our social medias. That's Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook, letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. Link to Redbubble in the description where you can pick up our merch. Now, there's a few videos popping up this week. Tomorrow, there's going to be a weird Top Gun Maverick 4K review. Many thanks to Paramount. They've sent me a copy to review early. We've not really done home media reviews. It'll be the first ever one we do. But I'm excited to get into some bonus features, talk some special stuff, because we do like pushing physical media, like pushing the cinematic experience. Granted, I'm saying this on a streaming video. I can't wait to talk about that, to watch those. And then there will be a review tomorrow. This one's going up tonight. That one's going to be up tomorrow. I hope you enjoy both of them. And it's going to be great to talk about Top Gun Maverick again, isn't it? So that's going to do it for today's review. Thank you all for watching, for commenting along. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care.